attack, fast, fatal, hard impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello guys. Now, just a brief warning. This might be the goriest and bloodiest thing I've recorded for the channel. And that is saying something if you guys have stuck around my channel long enough to see some series I've made, and the amount of detail I do try to go with. Now then, that is a warning. If you guys want to stick around and watch this, that's on you. You guys should be aware though, you need to skip this if you don't want to hear something in a very good amount of detail. That will probably not make you want to continue the series. Now, with that being said, that was a warning, and to those of you who are still around, you might, well, regret that. Anyway guys, I do hope you enjoyed. Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before I do begin, in the last part, we went over a time skip where Deku, a lot of things happened to him and a lot of time has passed. In the future, I cut to, in the last part, Deku was 1.5 years into the apocalypse. He lost an arm and he lost an eye. And he was thinking back as to what happened to him. Why and how he turned into the man he is today. And what changed him. Deku, he used to be a good kid. He used to be fun. He used to be outspoken in certain places. He used to love being around people and being around heroes. However, when we last saw him, the person he turned into was cold. He knows certain things need to happen for certain things to be achieved. He knows what it's like to have to kill to survive, even though he's done it more times than he would like to admit. He's done it once before, and he would do it again. And he has. Now, Deku was thinking back on that traumatic past, as we do cut back there as well. Deku, he's being hanged by a chain. There's a hook holding onto it and they're wrapped around his wrist. His feet, they barely touch the ground. They raised up his feet because they knew he would try something. He has all of his weight on his wrist, and it's actually not easy. It gets difficult to breathe, and there's someone in the room watching him constantly. Because of the way his body's angled, with his arms straight up, it means that he's being lowered and raised at some intervals, as they're just trying to get him to answer them. Deku's been in this room for 3 days, and he feels tired. They give him food, and they give him water. So clearly, he's too valuable if they're going to try to give him resources like that. He gets just enough to help him out, and just enough to keep him hydrated. However, as for conscious, that's a different story. The men beat Deku, and they make sure that he knows it will hurt. He has bruises all over his body, and bloody bandages covering him right now. As Deku, he is looking around the room this time. One side of his face is swollen, and he can't see out of his eye. Deku looking through his left. As he does look around the room, his vision is somewhat bloodshot, and he actually does stare at the man, who is sitting down in the corner and fiddling with something in his hands, as he also is smoking a cigarette. As Deku, he does try to open his mouth. He barely lets out more than a whisper, as the man, he actually does look towards him, asking if he's going to say something. Deku just trying to say something again. As one of the man does get up and walk over, he does ask Deku to repeat. As Deku, he does just throw his head forward and smash it in this man's face. As the man does back up, he does go to bring up his hand to his nose, as he does go to pull a gun and bring it up to Deku's head. The moment the man does have his hands fully outstretched, Deku closes his eyes, as the man, he does cock back the trigger. Now, or cock back the hammer. Now, the man does stare at Deku. He was caught off guard by that. Deku didn't look surprised, he didn't do anything like that, he just closed his fucking eyes. As the man, he actually does step forwards a bit, looking down towards Deku's feet. As the man does ask Deku why the hell isn't he scared. And Deku, he just does open his eyes, before at least giving the man a bloody smile. The man just staring back at Deku. The kid is fucking insane. That's what he's thinking right now. They beat him for an hour. They've tried numerous tactics on him, and he still hasn't budged. He knows from what the doctor has said that certain patients like this, or certain cases, they're strange. The type of torture Deku has been under in the last couple of days would be enough to hurt and scar him. They're well aware of that. However, with the doctor's supervision, they're able to at least keep him somewhat in condition. Or at least, able to stay alive. Now, the man, he does stare at Deku. As we do have our Deku, he does do one simple thing. He passes out once again, as he does wake up later in the day. Now, Deku, he does just look around, as he does hear something. As Deku's looking around, it's dark. There's that candle on the table. The man still had left a pack of cigarettes, and he also does see a knife. Deku, kind of alarmed. That's a weapon. As Deku, he actually has tried to move his arms up and look down towards the ground. His toes are able to touch the cold concrete. However, the moment Deku does think about that, he does hear the door open. As the door swings open and the man does walk inside, as you do have the doctor standing next to him. They are wearing, well, a white shirt, and they actually are looking on at Deku. As Deku does see them, the man walking over and with a flashlight showing this doctor Deku's left arm. As the doctor, they aren't convinced. This is a bite mark, yes. However, it's quite possible it could have just been a regular person, or the kid could have done it to himself. And, well, the second theory is more out there. There is the fact that, checking Deku's mouth, some of the teeth do look the same size, if not just a little bit larger. And considering how old this bite mark exactly might be, it's theoretical right now. And the man, he does explain that he assumed that would be the assumption, as a zombie is brought into the room. The man explaining that they will leave this thing in here to bite him, and that if it doesn't kill him, then he will be on his way with them. After that, then really what can they do? And you do actually have where the two people, they do walk outside as a zombie is let go of, as it does slowly limp forwards and Deku to stare at it. As Deku does see through the dark, he sees the zombie as it does slowly make its way towards him. Deku trying to bring up his legs, as for about 30 minutes he's able to keep this up. He kicks the zombie away with the momentum he can build up, and with what he can, kicking away constantly before he just gets back up and moves towards him. As eventually whenever Deku he does bring his legs up, the zombie gets in too close, as it does bring its, well, hands outwards and grab onto Deku. Deku feeling this cold flesh, as it feels disgusting on his body. The thing actually sinking its teeth right there into the side of Deku's ab. As Deku, the moment he does feel this thing bite into him and pull back, he does scream loudly. And you do actually have where he does, or the people, they do run back over and check. As the zombie, it bit into Deku once, and then it actually does bring its head back, as it does go to tear off another piece of flesh. And Deku, he does just try to bring up his leg. Bring up his left leg as he actually just smash it outwards with as much power as he can. As the shot of adrenaline, it made Deku's instinct for survival kick in. As whenever Deku does smash his leg, he does hit the zombie. As he actually shift too much, and one of his arms, they actually did get free. As Deku does slump down and fall onto the ground, smashing onto his left side. As the zombie, it hit the ground, and it went to go get back up. The moment Deku actually was able to get his butt on the ground and bring his hands up, he did actually go to sit up. As he does bring his hands down and pushes off of the ground to try and get up. The moment Deku gets at least on the ground with his hands, he does jump forwards and towards the zombie. As Deku does grab it by the back and smash its head towards the ground. As Deku, he does just do one simple thing. He leaps up a bit and goes to smash down his body weight. As he does smash it down on this thing's head. And the zombie is killed. Now, when that does happen, Deku, he does try to scoot off of and get away from this gore. As the person they do see there and watch Deku, they're able to confirm the patient has been bit. And they do talk about how infection will usually be in about an hour or two, and that they will wait on standby till then. And right now, that's what they will do. This being where the people do walk away. As we actually do have Deku. He's sitting there, and he's trying to think. Right now, his body has adrenaline. It's keeping him awake. And, well, the pain in his side. It fucking burns. It hurts. And it feels horrible. Now, Deku, he's trying to come up with a game plan. As he does think of something. Now, Deku, 2 hours later, somebody does come to check on him. And you do actually have where the person, after calling out for Izuku to look towards him, or give him a signal that he's alive, the person is walking to the room, assuming he's dead since he did not respond. Now, after walking over and actually looking towards Deku, they do try to check him. They checked his left hand, and they made sure that it was solid. They felt around the arm, up to the bite where it was still solid, and they went to go check towards Deku's abdomen, where he was bit. As whenever they do so, they actually are able to see it's all solid. Before they do go to look towards Deku's face, the moment they do actually grab Deku by his chin, Deku actually does bring up his right hand, as he does jab a knife directly under the jawbone of this person. As the man, he does sit there kind of surprised for a second, staring at Deku, as Deku just runs the blade across. Now, Deku, he actually does feel the warm blood on his hand, as he does pull the knife back. And he actually does go moving forwards and going to grab this person's belt. Deku going to grab towards the gun he does see, and trying to grab the magazine as well. As whenever he does so, he actually does stumble up to his feet. grabbing onto the wall and shifting towards it, being able to get up as he does get ready. Now, Deku does slowly make his way out of the room, as he does just wonder if they're anywhere in the same neighborhood he was knocked out in. There's a chance he can survive. He can stash out in a building nearby they found. The idea was to have a backup place, a place they can use if they ever get caught out at night. They have a place nearby. It isn't well set up yet. It doesn't have any resources, but it's secure, there's no zombies inside, and it should still have locks on the door that function. And right now, that's the safest place. If he can get there, he can wait for himself to heal, give himself some time, maybe run to one of the others if they go there. They've got to be searching for him. They know he's missing. And Deku, as he does get towards the door, he does get ready. As he does wait, he knows for a fact that this is going to be bad. If they try to radio in towards this guy and call out for him, then things are going to be messy, to say the least. And we do actually have where somebody does come walking into the room, and they do see the guy on the ground. As Deku, he does just bring his hand outwards and bring out the knife. Deku stabbing in the side of their neck, as he does just turn the knife and slash. Now, Deku, he doesn't even try to process what he did, as he does just watch the man fall forwards and hit the table, him making a loud thud as Deku does look down. He does grab this, bigger knife he does have in his hand. It looks like a butcher's knife. And right now, that might be a better option. Deku just taking the knife and trying to make his way down the hallway, going the opposite way he saw the man come from. As the two people, the doctor and this person, they do see what happened. And right now their assumption is there's a zombie out here, and it just killed two of their men. It's strong. It's deadly. It's smart. And that's what worries them. As the doctor and the man, they try to prepare, trying to get their group to be on a little bit more of high alert. As we actually do have back with Deku. Deku has his left arm on the wall, as he's using it to hold up most of his body weight. The people, they did a really bad number on his knee, and, the bottom part of his right leg. He can put weight down on it, but he feels like if he puts down enough weight, he'll reopen his injuries. And right now, blood loss isn't something he can handle. As we do have him moving down the hallway. As whenever Amanda's around the corner and Deku does see them, he does just go to bring out his hand, as he does pull the trigger on the gun. As gunshots do ring out, Deku fired 3, hitting the man in the chest as he slumped towards the ground. Now, people are closing in on Deku, and Deku, at this point, he knows exactly what's going on, as he's trying to make his way through this warehouse. He can somewhat get an idea of what's going on here, get an idea of the layout of the building. Him passing by a map as he does look to see where he's at. There's an emergency exit on the bottom level. He's on the 2nd floor. And Deku, he does make his way towards the staircase. As after getting there, you do have where a man with an assault rifle is staying there. Whenever Deku did bring his hand out swinging it forwards, the person, they already brought up their rifle, and informing him to put it down, otherwise they're going to fire. Them firing a shot right past Deku as Deku did freeze. And he did get ready. As the person is still holding out the gun towards him. And Deku, he's standing there as the person, they do just see him in the moonlight. He looks like a mummified corpse. He has blood on his abdomen that's leaking down. And, well, he's covered in it. His right arm. It's got so much blood on it, and the only assumption he can make is that that isn't his. As you do have the people who, they do come running down the hallway, Deku made his way down. And they were kind of confused. As the person, they do walk forwards asking if he is really a fucking zombie. And if he really wasn't immune. The moment Deku does actually turn his head and go to bring up his hand, there actually is where a bullet is fired right into Deku's hand. As it does hit the gun and go straight through the two of his fingers. Now, Deku he does just freeze staring at his hand, as he only does have the bottom two fingers and his thumb left. Deku just staring at it as he does almost freak out. He does just somewhat try to scream out in pain. However, his voice does crack, and it does sound more like a gargle. Deku broke his voice screaming many times, and this is not helping him. And right now, whenever he does look up, he does look back towards these two people, along with looking down towards the man, as the man does go to rush towards Deku up the staircase. Whenever Deku, he does go to try to swing out his right hand, or swing out his left hand, the man slowly does go to grab Deku by his wrist and throw him against the wall. As Deku, he does just, well, try to fight from it. The man brought his hand up to Deku's throat and threw him towards the wall. The people walking forwards as they're just trying to understand what's going on. The moment they realize Deku isn't infected and he's still human, the person talks about how this will still work for them. He's still in good condition. And right now they've already provided them reaching down and grabbing Deku's two fingers, tissue samples. And Deku, he does just stare at this person. As they do see the rage in Deku's face, you do actually have where Deku, he does just stare at them. The man bringing up his hand and actually smashing Deku across the face with the butt of his gun. Him smacking Deku in the left side of his skull. As Deku, he does take the hit, and then he actually does go to try and throw out his face and bite the man. Or throw his head out forwards and bite the man. Deku actually being able to bite the man on the cheek as he does actually go to pull back. Deku, he kept his jaw locked, and he actually does tear off a good chunk of flesh. The moment the man actually does let go of Deku and back up, he actually does go to swing his hand out as hard as he can. As he did smash Deku in the side of the skull once again. This actually breaking and actually destroying Deku's left eye, as he does slump to his right and smash on the wall, hitting the ground. And you do actually have where a large chunk of blood is pouring out of his eye socket. And Deku, after at least looking towards them, he does have the vision fade, as his left eye is going dark. It's hard to tell. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what to do. As Deku, he does try to think. He's about to die. He's going to be killed. And you do actually have where he does see the man closing in on him. He's trying to hold onto his cheek. However, Deku, he does feel this chunk of warm flesh in his mouth. Him actually going to try and sit up forwards to spit it out. As whenever he does do that, the man, he's quickly starting to loom over Deku. And he's trying to think. He has one idea left. It's one he's considered before in situations like this. But if he's actually going to have to use it, then that just shows how bad this option is. Deku trying to concentrate. He knows what he's going to have to do. And he knows exactly what he's going to have to do after he gets out of this. He's going to need to do it fast. As Deku, he does go to bring out his left hand. The man actually looking at it, as he does think that Deku is trying to surrender. However, Deku, he does try to focus, bring his thumb down to his finger. As Deku, his finger does start to glow, and he does just flick it out. As the man, he sent flying backwards with the two people. As all of them they get sent smashing and hitting against the walls, scraping against them as they do smash into the very back wall. Now, Deku, yeah, he doesn't know if that was worth it. I just stare at his hand. His finger's broken. And right now, from looking at it, he doesn't know if it's turning waxy. That's bad. That's really bad. As Deku does look down the corridor, and he does see as somebody does get up. Now, Deku does watch as the man with the cigar he originally saw, he does get up and start to try and run back towards Deku. As Deku, whenever he does look towards the man is getting close. The moment he actually does go to reach out and go to grab towards Deku, Deku brings his finger right in front of his face, and flicks it as well. As Deku does basically shoot a hole through the man's head, it exploding and spreading throughout the hallway as if a shotgun went off in his face. Now, after that does happen, we do have where Deku, after the two people they don't seem to get back up, he does just wait for a second. He tries to gain his bearing, and he does look back down towards his hand. As he does look closer, right now this is going to either prove a theory of his or fuck it all up. And he doesn't know which one it is. Now, as Deku does get onto his feet, he does still lean against the corner, him putting most of his body weight against the wall, looking down at his left hand. He only has his thumb left, and if he needed to use a third shot, he might have to use one of his fingers again. That being what Deku does think. As he does look around the ground, he does look to see that the man, he does still have a weapon on him. He's carrying it on a gun belt. And Deku, he does look around more. He knows it was there. Where was it? Where was it? Deku seeing the larger knife he saw. As Deku, he does get ready. He does move towards the ground, him falling down and actually being able to get the man's belt off and bring it up to his arm. Deku with one arm trying to wrap it up and around and onto his forearm. Deku doing it just below the elbow. As he does look over towards the ground and go to grab the cleaver. Now, as Deku gets back onto his feet, he does look at the wall, seeing exactly where in this warehouse he is. As he needs to look around, and he needs to hurry. Right now, the infection could be either kicking in, or he might just be safe. It could be paranoia. That's one of the symptoms, right? Paranoia? Going crazy? He's not crazy, is he? He's not overreacting. He's being rational. This is just he's panicking. That's gotta be it. He's just panicking. He'll be fine. Maybe, right? Now, these thoughts are running through Deku's mind. As Deku, after getting downstairs, he does walk out of this large room, as he does see that this is more like a mechanic shop. And all this, it does look both good and bad. Deku, he does see chains on the wall, as some of them they are raised up. And he does look around more. As Deku looks down at his left hand, and he does go to bring his hand up, him wrapping it around his tiny finger. The moment Deku actually does grab onto it, he does hear a squishy sound. And he actually is able to turn on a light and see his hand. It's covered in blood, and both of his fingers, they're turning waxy. And this does catch Deku off guard. The more he looks at his hand, he used his quirk twice. The infection's already spread past his wrist and it's moving up his forearm. Deku actually seeing that it's almost to the bite mark midway in his arm. And this actually has caused a bit more panic. Deku actually tightening the belt up more as he does move it up. Deku actually moving it onto the front of his bicep. As he does think. Deku tightens it up as much as possible, before just holding on to it and looking around. He sees a few things around this place that could help him. And right now, after at least walking over to some place and seeing a blowtorch, he does try to get ready. He sets down the large cleaver, and he does turn the blowtorch. As he does spark it with a flint, or at least a tool he does see next to it, he does know this is all going to be bad. He walks over and looks at this chain that actually, whenever he does reach out and pull it, it does go up. And Deku is looking around. He knows exactly how strong humans are. And while there's a chance that if he does use the quirk one more time to actually try and break his arm, there's also a chance it could cause the infection to spread past the forearm. He'd have to go at the shoulder maybe. But here, he can at least save part of his arm. He knows that. And right now, as Deku, he does reach over and at least go to drag something that would be at level with him towards the area directly underneath the chain. He does look around. Deku is looking for something heavy. Him seeing a cinder block. As he does walk over slowly and go to pick it up. This thing's got a good amount of weight. And right now, that's kind of what he needs. As Deku does walk over, he does wrap the chain through and actually go to clip the metal piece on the very bottom of it around onto the part of the chain. As Deku, he does use his right arm to lift it up as high as he can. And Deku just wraps the chain around his arm, going up and up and up. As he does get ready. Now, Deku, he does look back at his arm as he does try to stare closely. Okay. Deku putting his arm outwards and to his left, onto this metal drum. As Deku, he does look up. He needs to be sure he'll get this right, because he really doesn't have to repeat this. As Deku does look over towards the table, where the cleaver is sitting down next to the blowtorch. And right now, he really hates this idea. As Deku, he does let go of the chain. And we will actually cut to... let's just skip over the rest of that, since that's a bit too bloody. Now, Deku, he is successful. After at least the shock of pain and adrenaline, he does look back over. As he was able to get the job done. And while he was losing blood fast, he was able to close the wound. It was just a matter of how fast he could. Shortly after Deku was able to do this, he passed out. And he woke up an unknown amount of time later. By the time he woke up, the sun was already out. And he did just go to look over towards his arm. Whenever he actually was able to bring it out and actually brush some blood off of his arm, he felt it all crackle on his finger. As whenever he was able to tell that it wasn't turning to liquid or turning waxy, he actually let out of a sigh of relief. As he does just sit there against the wall, and he's still trying to think, what the fuck did he just do? Did he really just do that? Deku actually going to bring up his hand. He feels around his face. He feels like something's off. It can't be. Deku actually going to bring the area up and over his left eye. As whenever he actually does feel that area, he realizes something bad. Before Deku, he does try to look around. Now, he's able to get back up onto his feet and find a mirror. As the sight he does see whenever he looks into it, it's not good. Deku, he is able to make his way out of this building. And, well, whenever he walks out, he does get a bit of a fright. In front of the building, there was a large bundle of these zombies. Deku even saw one of the giant teeth monsters. Whenever Deku opened the door, the thing ran towards him, and Deku thought he was going to die. However, after running towards him, it was confused. As Deku, he did just think for a minute. This thing, it can see him clearly. This monstrous amount of eyes. They're staring right at him. And those jaws, those teeth, they're salivating. But it's not attacking him. Deku, this suspicion in his mind, he's still infected, isn't he? It's quickly being replaced. Whenever Deku, he does just go to walk forwards and pass this thing. As it does, move inside the warehouse. And Deku, he is confused looking around. He's walking through a crowd of zombies. But he's still alive. It doesn't make sense. Deku's trying to think. His mind is telling him he must be infected. However, there's a second option. Looking around, there's one thing in common with these zombies and him. They're covered in blood. And Deku, he is well aware of that fact. He's been covered in blood all night. And some of it's his, some of it's a zombie's, some of it's, well, people's. And he doesn't know which is worse. Right now, this idea of getting out of here alive, it's kind of on the back burner. It sounds messed up, but Deku thinks that he has to write this down in his notes. He needs to note this idea in his head. Zombie guts. It could help them. Now, he does make his way to this extra warehouse, or this extra home away from home, if you do want to give it that name. And whenever Deku actually does jiggle the handle and go to walk in, you do have where somebody does stop him. Whenever Deku, he did hear a voice, he went to just slump against the wall, as he does go to bring his hand out with the gun, as does hold it shakily. As whenever the person had round the corner, you did actually have where they saw Deku. Them going to pull a gun, as Deku, he does just do one simple thing. He does just drop it and go to slump against the wall. As the person, they do run over, and they do see the state he's in. They're worried, to say the least. They know he's alive. As Momo, she has actually helped Deku. She was going to come here, bring more resources. While Deku was missing, it's a good idea to set up this place. They've been doing so the last couple days. She gets Deku laid down and actually does bring a first aid kit to help him. As whenever she does radio this in, everyone else does make their way here. While it's all good they found their friend, considering what Momo described, he should not be alive. And then there's the fact that he's missing an arm and he lost an eye. That's bad. Momo, she has many questions, many things she wants to ask Deku. However, Deku, he doesn't really talk. He stays silent. And whenever Momo actually does at least give Deku a large number of painkillers, he does pass out. Now, she doesn't tend to Deku's injuries. Right now, she thinks if she does anything to him, there's a good chance he might die. He looked so pale and red. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And this was a very bloody and violent episode. And one I actually think I will have to give a disclosure about at the beginning. Might be the first, actually. I don't know if I've done that before. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed.